Arsenal might genuinely make a signing in January, and it could be a midfielder. I think if we originally thought about a potential addition, we thought maybe a left winger, depending on how Martinelli and Trossard do. And then the way Arsenal started, we thought the squad looks good, we probably don't need to add any players. When you look at the amount of players we've been linked to in the last few weeks, it really suggests that Arsenal are looking to bolster their options in that particular position. And we look at the minutes that Declan Rice and Zubimendi are playing, and trust me, I've got some pretty staggering data to go through in this video. It all makes sense why Arsenal would be looking for a player to help add to that engine room that is so crucial to what Arsenal are trying to do. Let's talk you through these links. In particular, this one. Sam Dean has said that Arsenal are closely monitoring Spanish midfielder Rodrigo Mendoza and are weighing up a potential move for the 20-year-old. It could be really interesting to see if Arsenal try and formalise their interest and make this one happen. The likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona will be looking, no doubt. When you look at the type of player he is, he feels like a really good fit for what we're trying to do. A creative central midfield type who can still get around the pitch. The kind of player that I think Arsenal and someone like Andrea Berta might see as a bargain deal that they could do a little bit like Christian Mosquera. But the player I really want to talk about was linked to us by Fabrice Hawkins. He says that Lille's Ayyoub Bouaddi is being courted by several Premier League clubs, including Chelsea. Arsenal are pushing hard and Lille's management want to extend his contract to sell him for more than 50 million euros next summer. He also says that PSG are looking at the player. Now, Fabrizio Romano came in later that day and actually confirmed that a lot of what he said was true, that Bouaddi has signed a new deal at Lille until June 2029, so there's no surprise there. It doesn't mean that what Fabrice Hawkins was telling us wasn't true. He's actually said that was potentially going to happen, and that the Premier League clubs are Chelsea and Arsenal who are monitoring him as well. Now that suggests, having signed a new deal, that January might come too soon for this move. But I think if Arsenal put the money down and they're serious, there is a potential deal to do there. Let's learn a little bit about Ayyoub Bouaddi and why Arsenal would want this player, because when we're talking about adding squad depth and adding a player in central midfield, we're not just talking about someone who can simply play the minutes in the absence of a Declan Rice or Zubimendi, because Christian Norgard is there, but he's not really been trusted. So why would Arsenal want to add someone different? Well, it's because they've got the attributes that really complement what Declan Rice and Zubimendi have been bringing to this Arsenal team, and Bouaddi fits a really good... He fits the attributes that those two have been bringing to the team. Let's look at his player profile. He's 18 years old, he's a central midfielder, he's 6'1", he's right-footed, and he's French. Let's go to his FB ref stats and look how he compares to other midfielders in the French top league. He's up there for progressive carries and successful take-ons. Yep, that feels like the kind of thing a Declan Rice would be ranking really highly for. Long progressive passes received. Yep, that's an important one when you're receiving off the back four and build up. Long passes completed. I mean, cool. In the 99th percentile, that's just good to know. Tackles in the attacking third are very high as well. We are a pressing team. When you look at percentage of dribblers tackled, touches in the attacking penalty area, and percentage of aerials won, it all fits. Again, these sort of things that we're expecting our central midfielders to do. Win headers, press high up the pitch, engage in the tackle, all that stuff. So those numbers that I've cherry picked look quite good. Are there concerning ones? Sure, you can hit the pause button if you want to look at these in detail. These are his passing stats compared to other midfielders in his league. Have a little look there. Like I said, only pass completion is looking particularly good. And then you can go to pass types as well, which doesn't look great, but that more speaks to the different types of passes he's playing. Maybe there's not too much to read into there. So look, I know I've cherry picked the good ones in that little graph I showed you there, that little table. Not everything reads brilliantly. His defensive stats read very well too. That must be said. But yeah, this isn't the perfect player. He's 18 years old, but that is part of what makes him a really, really good fit for Arsenal. What makes him actually a perfect fit for this squad right now is because he's the type of player, he's probably not expecting to play every minute right now, but he's got the attributes, he's got that kind of moldability where the raw potential is there, and you can teach him what Declan Rice has been doing, what Zubimendi's been doing, and his attributes, I think, fit really nicely into what both those players could bring. I think there's one clip in particular that really, really shows this. Now, in the pinned comment, I've added a Bouaddi comp, so you can watch that and you can have a little look at the player yourself and get an idea and a feel for why Arsenal would want him. But I think there's one moment in particular that shows his quality. I'm going to break it down here. Here's Ayyoub Bouaddi. He's about to receive the ball on the half turn. He's letting it roll across his body under pressure in central midfield, right near to the halfway line. As he takes this touch, a second player goes to engage, and he's basically got an option: drive forward or do what he does do, which is turn back inside, send the two players back towards goal, use his right foot to flick it past, gain a little bit of separation, which you can see here, open some space for himself, and then, where we've questioned some of his passing numbers, he then goes and plays a brilliant ball down the line to the Lille forward. Now, the reason I really like this particular clip, this particular snapshot of some of his football, is because he does a couple things. A, shows the bravery to receive the ball across his body and drive forward, always looking to go forward. When under pressure physically, he's able to use his strength, hold them off, and keep composed despite having two players either side of him putting him on under pressure. He's then got the awareness to know that he can't go forward, so he turns back to create that separation a little bit, sets himself, and is still able, despite not getting the ball forward in the drive he wanted, to actually launch the ball forward into the Lille winger. Those are the kind of things I think really suit what Declan Rice and Zubimendi have been doing. It's the kind of thing that Arsenal 6s and 8s, whatever area you're playing in the picture, because quite frankly, Zubimendi and Rice are both playing as 8s at times. It fits really nicely into what we're asking them to do in build up and progressing us up the pitch. Like I said, there's a full comp in the pinned comment, go watch that. But I just think it's a little look at what Bouaddi brings to this team and what he can do really, really well if we were to bring him in January or maybe even the summer. But let's see. I think Arsenal try and do something in January. And why do we need him now? Like, why has it become such a pressing issue? Well, firstly, Rice and Zubimendi are playing far too many minutes. I'm going to show you that in a second. Marino's been playing most of his minutes up front, so he hasn't been able to drop in and actually help out at times. We did see in the Forest game earlier in the season that Marino started alongside Zubimendi, and that was a sign that Arteta did want to rotate central midfield a little bit, but with the injuries up front, he's not been able to do that. And Norgard hasn't been trusted. He's played the cup games and he started in one Champions League game where Zubimendi wasn't fit to start. That is quite damning for a player who's meant to come in at 31 years old, experienced in the Premier League, who could maybe play West Ham at home, who could maybe play the odd Burnley away or something, but he hasn't been trusted to do that, which suggests to me that Mikel Arteta isn't really fancying him. Now let's look at Zubimendi and Rice's midfield minutes and compare them to others in similar positions in their league, especially at similar clubs, because we've got Caicedo, Enzo, Nico, Reinders, Gravenberch and McAllister's minutes, games and minutes per game they've played this season. As you can see, Rice and Zubimendi are racking up 1,600 minutes each, with only Enzo 1,692 minutes, playing more than both central midfielders there. As you can see, Caicedo, Nico, Reinders, Gravenberch and McAllister are all so far in all competitions, may I say, at around 1,200 to 1,400 minutes. Rice and Zubimendi, like I said, at the 1,600 minute, both of them are at that number already. With Declan Rice's 22 games, the most that has been played amongst any of those central midfielders, and Zubimendi's 84 minutes per game, the second highest to Gravenberch's 86. But the key data there is the minutes, and those have already racked up a staggering amount. We're going to put that into context in a sec, so stick around. But have a look at what they're doing in the Premier League. This is Martin Zubimendi. He started, 6-7 in the first few games. They tried to give him a rest against West Ham, but still ended up playing an hour of that game, and has basically started every game since. As you can see at the bottom of that screenshot, he's in the starting 11 for 14 out of the 15 games we've had so far this season. With Declan Rice, he got a rest earlier in the season against Nottingham Forest, but still came on for 22 minutes and has otherwise started 14 of those 15 games as well. Now let's just put the minutes that we mentioned in the Premier League into context, because if Rice and Zubimendi continue to play at this level and continue to play this many minutes, their projected minutes each for this season are 3,164 minutes for Declan Rice and Zubimendi at 3,207 minutes. I want to compare that to a player who was an ever-present for title-winning sides, and that's Rodri, and look at his 3 full campaigns before he got injured in 24-25, where he clocked in 23-24, 2,938 minutes, 2,921 minutes the season before, and 2,888 minutes the season before that. I mean, it just tells you that the rate at which Rice and Zubimendi are clocking in minutes right now is not sustainable. There's a reason that Rodri never went above 3,000 minutes in all those games, and we shouldn't be looking to do the same with Rice or Zubimendi either. Now, sure, with Gyökeres, Havertz, Jesus returning, Marino can drop into central midfield, and we can balance those numbers out too. Maybe there's a bit more trust in Norgard. Someone like Waneri can play, Ødegaard, Eze, they can all play as 2 advanced 8s in front of one of the 6s. I get that. There are things Arsenal can do. Even Lewis Skelly could drop into central midfield. I understand that. But I think that this calls for more of a central midfield addition, someone who fits really nicely. And we've talked about how Bouaddi could be a really good fit. But what about someone like Mendoza, who we mentioned? What about Lucien Agume, the 23-year-old at Seville, who's been linked heavily to Arsenal back in the summer and feels a move that Arsenal could do and he feels like a really good fit for this Arsenal midfield? I don't know, but I think it's become a pressing position. I think Arsenal needs to sign a central midfielder for all the reasons I mentioned above. I think Bouaddi could be a really good one to add to the team. If you enjoyed this piece of analysis, do let me know. We're doing analysis pieces on the channel every Monday at 3 p.m. and we are doing the podcast every Friday at 3 p.m. too. Goonerverse News, keeping up to date with everything that's going on across the Arsenal world, and we'll be doing player ratings live on the Goonerverse as well here. Hope you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and we will see you very, very soon.